one and all. I would like to welcome all the viewers to join us for this special webinar today. Uh, we have two special guests. We have Mr. M. Nagarajan, Commissioner of Higher Education and Honorary Executive Director of IHO with us. We also have our key person, the key speaker of the day, Anil Jyotiji, the man behind Unicorn Venture. Anilji, welcome to Gujarat Startup Ecosystem. And it is going to be a very wonderful conversation with you. This audience is broadly incubators, entrepreneurs, startups, innovators, and people who are very, very keen on this ecosystem development in the state of Gujarat. The session is also made Facebook Live through iHub and other places across this country. So a wide range of audience is going to pick some ideas from your brain, and certainly the next 1 hour is going to be very intellectually stimulating. Before I formally introduce Anilji, I will request Mr. Nagarajan sir to share his initial thoughts.
Thank you, Hiranmay. It's a wonderful lineup today in our series of special webinar where we are bringing eminent people who are the industry thought leaders and action leaders in startup innovation and the venture funding ecosystem. We have Anilji, who is leading in Unicorn Ventures. The name Unicorn itself suggests very aspiring tone to everything that's happening in the startup and innovation. And he is having vast experience in this industry overall and also in the venture investing. So one of our aims in iHub is that we increase the depth and diversity of the startup pipeline through funding of ideas and enabling the mind to market journey of the students when they are in college. This provides them a chance to work on startup and innovation when they are in college itself. And also we have a talented pool of teachers who are there as an institutional mechanism to guide and mentor them. So the students get a sandbox environment to actually try out a startup and innovation in his own venture, and also get support and access to all the resources that they can get. So far, Anilji, under the student startup and innovation policy, we have funded almost 3,500 ideas, and a lot of them have gone into patent, and then many of them have gone into startups, and few of them are making even a few crores of turnover in this. So one of the purpose of having you here is to connect the venture funding ecosystem to the innovation and startup ecosystem, but little bit broad based in the academic environment. So we'll be happy to take insights from you and also take your inputs on how to make this development a very strategic move for the Gujarat and for the country. And we are looking at value-based entrepreneurship and also starting up, looking at, unicorn. When we talk about unicorn, we also talk about impact unicorns. We try to consciously put into the student's mind that when you chase a dream, chase it with some values. Look at the Indian aspect of solutions. Don't learn from the global practices, but then fit it to the Indian conditions. And then try to develop a local solution for the local problem, which is ultimately leading to the Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is now the war cry of the country and the need of the hour, especially in a period of pandemic. So in this situation, we are trying to, at iHub, Hiranmay and his team and myself, under the guidance of Anju Sharma Madam and Chief Mentor Mr. Himanshu Pandya, we are trying to catalyze the software part of the ecosystem, the collaboration part, the human part, the relationships part, and the access to mentorship and resources part, which is the starting point for any other sustainable activity. So in that sense, your session today is going to be a value addition to our knowledge building exercise in this. Very much glad to welcome you on behalf of iHub and also on behalf of Education Department, Government of Gujarat. So glad you joined us.
Thank you, Nagarajan.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful introduction and setting the tone in place. I will now formally say a couple of lines about Anilji, though he's very known in the investment cycle. He has been he is the founder and managing partner at Unicorn India Ventures. He has been one of the pioneers of angel investment in India. He actually pioneered angel investment in this country when this term was not very familiar. He was the head of operations and president at Mumbai Angels and Bangalore Agents, two major ecosystems of early stage startup catalyzing. Leading angel investment in India, Anilji's experience includes corporate management functions in medium and large organizations, early stage investment in startups, project management, joint ventures, business development, and many areas. Anilji has helped closely approximately 60 venture financing deals and was directly involved in closure of over 25 deals as mentor in India as well as internationally. So he knows very well how the incubation dynamics works and how the startups migrate from incubation and go to the next stages. He's very well respected and valued in the startup fraternity and is drawn upon by entrepreneurs for advice and strategic directions. Mentoring startup is his passion, and he advises governmental and industrial bodies on the same. Anilji is graduated in engineering and post-graduation management in marketing, along with PGDBM in strategic finance and control. So he is somebody who can tell us how exactly the financing ecosystem works in startups, particularly in the early stage, given his vast exposure into angel investing and leading large angel networks in Bangalore and Mumbai. Having said that, Anuji, I would like to formally welcome you to this August audience in the state of Gujarat who are across 30 incubators and other startups who are participating in the discussion. Welcome you, sir. I would now move on to Nagarajan, sir, to start the conversation going.
Thank you, Hiranmai. Good evening, Nagarjun sir.
So I think we should start picking your brain. And myself, Hiranmay and his team, we have curated a few questions which we thought would be useful to the audience. Now that we have your good introduction, you should kindly start with your overall journey within the investment sector and how you have reached to the stage of what you are today.
Sure, sir. Uh, uh, shall I go ahead, Hiranmai?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. So, thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure, to be part of this, August gathering. And more so, I don't know, many of you may not be knowing, but I did my engineering from Gujarat. I'm a product of BVM Anand, right? Vidyanagar. Have spent best 4 years of my life, in state of Gujarat, and it's very close to my heart. I have recently also become a lifetime alumni of my alma mater. So Gujarat is very special. To share my journey a bit. Post my graduation, I headed for management. I did management and was lucky enough to get inducted with the BK Birla Group of Company, Joint Century Rayon. I was specifically groomed to take a profit center head. I was moved to Haryana, where I was looking for sales for industrial product in Haryana, and then slowly also got additional responsibility for Punjab. Worked there for 2 years, and after my marriage, I moved back to Mumbai, joined Scandinavian consultancy, business development consultancy. That time it was called NetPoint, and now it's Business Access India. And the role was precisely to help companies from Scandinavia, that is Finland, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, to help them doing business in India and neighboring countries. Worked there 2 years, move back to corporate world, joined Transasia Biomedical. I was part of chairman's office as his executive assistant and assisting him on sales and marketing. But by virtue of position, I was exposed to all other aspects of business like manufacturing, R&D, finance, HR, uh, you know procurement, legal, and that actually gave me much you know uh, better perspective of business than as a sheer line function. In fact, many people were concerned about me taking a move, joining as an executive assistant. But then I think that was a life changing experience for me. Having worked there 2 years, got opportunity with Artheon Ventures, which is a diversified business group in telecom, IT, energy. I had a two-prong role there. One was helping new projects or new initiative within group, and the second was to make strategic investments, what we call now as a startup investments. I got exposed in 2000, when I have no idea that it would be one of the happening things after a decade or so. So joined, started learning the ropes, made around 8 investments. Those days we were investing anything around half a million to $2 million, invested in some eight, nine companies. And in mid 2000, two angel groups started. One is Mumbai Angel, based out of Mumbai, and second Indian Angel, which is based out of Delhi. And both started in 2006. We became a member of Mumbai Angels from 2006 till 2010. By virtue of what I had been doing, I started contributing actively in group, helped closing many transactions, and that led me take up the full time role with Mumbai Angels as president. Mumbai Angels. So next 3 4 years, I headed Mumbai Angels, helped building it, from a very nascent stage to what it is today. Help bringing in more than 200 investors. Help closing 65 plus investments. I think those days we deployed upward of 100 crore. And then I moved out to start my own fund, which is Unicorn India Ventures. Right. So probably ours was fourth or fifth fund which got registered with SEBI, and now we have, I think, more than dozen plus, or more than 2 dozen plus venture capital who are pretty active in investment in startups. So I would say I had been bit lucky, getting exposed early 2000 when there was nothing called startup. I took up a plunge and got opportunity to head Mumbai Angels when people were very few in this space actively looking to invest, and then started a fund, still when it was in single digit in terms of homegrown VC funds. So I had I'll say it been lucky since day one, got exposed to several opportunities in businesses, and then landed up starting my own fund. So that's a brief about me, sir, and that's what brought me to what I am today, and that also gave me opportunity to interact with almost all startup related organization in India, and also got opportunity to interact with few of the organization outside India. So that's the brief about my journey.
Yeah, I think it's excellent because we also keep stressing that sometimes when a student wants to start up, he is an innovator, but he needs to learn about marketing, finance, HR, and the other aspects of business to become a well-rounded entrepreneur. Your story again proves that thing, that you need to be you can have your core function specialization, but you need to have an idea of everything if you want to succeed. So
So
I
very
think
true, sir.
in the,
Very
yeah,
true. Just to add on to this, I'll tell
yeah.
you, during our days, we had one challenge to look for job. I think nothing else, popped up to our mind when we graduated. But in today's time, I think students are more blessed, with so many opportunities available, not only at state and national level, that they can actually, dare to dream and get started. However, I fully agree with your observation that it's always good to get some initial experience, outside your own specialization. That will certainly help in building, a robust organization.
Yes. So when we look at that angle, no, what are the things that a startup need to take care to create a long-term sustainable business?
So that's very interesting. In fact, I had been investing since mid 2000, and like stock market, I thought you invest and you can potentially move out of investments and make money in quick succession, but that's not the reality. I think a startup takes time. I still remember Flipkart, I think, started somewhere in 2006, and it took good 13 years for them to fully mature, get acquired by Walmart, and see where they are today. So it's a long journey, and if somebody has to build a long sustaining organization, so there are several things which one need to take care. But I would insist on one thing which is very important, is to look for product which people, a product or service which a customer would like to have, right? Don't build something which you want to thrust on your potential customer, but build something or innovate something, solve real problem, right? Let me give a very interesting example, and it's very complex, right? Most of the people would not take up that route, but we have one. And this probably some of the students will correlate if they are in their final year or third year. So during one of my visit for my portfolio review, I was in Trivandrum, and I was introduced to this four young bright just passed out, probably 6 7 8 month engineers, and they were working on one prototype which they was basically, it was in a robot to automate manual scavenging, right? And Normally, in our industry, we don't invest something which is at prototype stage, but the passion what they brought in, the way the prototype was done, we landed up investing in this company which is called Gen Robotic. And I'm glad to share that this one company in our portfolio is been profitable since inception, right? So they built such a wonderful product which was need of the hour. Every municipality or every housing society which have manhole, or which has a septic tank, you need some automation to clean them, because in current situation when we are talking about social distancing, more and more automation is appreciated. So build something which people or your customer is willing to buy. Once you have right product, then sir, you need to build right team, need to look for right finances. Also, since we are referring to students as some of the audience, it's also important to have some right mentors during course of your journey, right? And every stage you would need different mentors. For example, during initial day when you're building your product, you will need somebody who have gone through the cycle of building product, commercializing a product, right? Once it has been commercialized, launched, then you may need somebody who can help build the organization. Then you may need somebody who can help build the processes, right? So during early days, I also say the founders land up doing P2P job, which is basically peon to president, right? Sometimes you may even be like required to open office, clean office, but at the end of the day, the main objective is to build a sustainable organization. So sir, I think one foremost important thing for any startup is to build a product which customer is going to appreciate, right? So never compromise on quality, never compromise on performance.
Yes. So when you want to start up, you need to start from the customer. That is point well taken here. So once if there is a startup and they are doing, they have found their customer and they are doing something, some level of sales. What is the key criteria to get access to your funds at Unicorn India Ventures? Because you are into angel investment a lot, and our startups would be a possible, target for you.
So, sir, it's a very important question, and most of the time, entrepreneurs, also feel left out if they don't, get proper response from investors. So it's very important, how you can reach out to investor. So I, before I answer this question, I just want to share one fact that on average, people like us, on daily basis, we get anything around 10 to 12 a proposal for evaluation, right? And each proposal, if we have to evaluate, take anywhere between 20 30 minutes, right? We'll end up even talking to 2 3 entrepreneurs whom we have shortlisted for further discussion. Then we have our existing portfolio to manage. we have our own daily job to do. We also have fund to raise, and then several other things to run a business, right? So with so much coming on our plate, it sometimes becomes difficult to give attention to genuine opportunity which probably come as a cold call, right? So my suggestion to all founders, or to be entrepreneurs, look for you know introduction which can actually help you get the proper audience with potential investor, right? So before you reach out to any investor, first do your homework whether that one particular investor invest in your vertical or your industry specific or not, right? For example, if our fund is focused on agri business only, and if you are not from agri business, even if an introduction will not help because we will not invest in your business, right? So it's very important to understand what kind of businesses investor is investing. Coming to specific about Unicorn, Unicorn India is tech focused, early stage investor. We invest anywhere around half a million to $2 million at seed, pre-series A, series A stage. And to reach out, I think like us, every investors have their contact details on their websites. LinkedIn is another best way to reach out. Uh, Third, or the most recommended way to reach out to investors is to find some common. So, for example, now I am connected to Hiranmay, or I have access to you, sir, Nagaranjan sir. So any startup which is in your circle, and if they reach out to you and they request you, an introduction from you will certainly help them get the audience, right? So I think the best way to reach out to people like us to through some common connects, or else use some social media, right? You have Facebook, you have now, I think I am slightly old school of thought, but I know that many investors are also aggressive on Instagram, right? Twitter is a very commonly liked by people like us. And of course LinkedIn, we all know the advantage. There are several other forums, right, which where people like us are member. You have associations through which you can do it. But one which I would recommend very highly is to get introduction through common connect. And it's not difficult to find that common connector. Today we can easily find through that degree of separation. LinkedIn is the best way to find out, right? Most of the VCs are there on LinkedIn, so it's not tough.
Yes, I think like when you are talking about the thing, I just understood that like a product market fit a startup is trying to achieve. So it is also important to get an investor fit also, so that you know the mission of your startup and the mission of the investor also aligns with that. I think that is a wonderful revelation here for all the young entrepreneurs here. So, when we talk about student entrepreneurship, what an academic institution in general can take some steps so that they can promote creativity and innovation in startups, because we really need that to happen at the college level or at the institutional level itself in the education.
So, sir, I take liberty with I take liberty with your permission, sir. I remember during our college days, we were allowed to do one semester as a project, right? We will be allowed to skip, the entire, course grades and do one industrial product project. And at the end of the project, we were allowed to, make a presentation, and basis evaluation, we will be graded, right? So that thing I had experienced during my engineering. Now things have changed fast forward, right? Earlier we were only talking about getting job, but today I think every institute is very keen to promote entrepreneurship, right? More so because we are also now talking about Atmanirbhar, and this can only happen if right grooming is done. So, sir, from academic institute perspective, I think Institutes can do few things. I will not be stressing upon having that accelerator incubator because it's very common today and everybody know about it. But I would like to share that every institute is blessed with their network of alumni, right? For example, I don't know, one of if you look at the head of L&T comes from he's from my alma mater, right? So if we have access to those kind of personality and everybody during life of their professional career do something very interesting in life, right? So one, I think students can be exposed to entrepreneurship through series of lectures which institute can do either through calling their alumni base or through experts or known entrepreneurs who are already there in country. That's one way. I think every institute you know can open up a mentorship forum where alumni, successful alumni can be given access to students who are willing to start, right? For example, sir, I come across many startups where students from third year, fourth year will just come up and say that they have an idea, and in some cases, to my surprise, that students have also incorporated private limited companies, sir, right? I'm talking about students who are class grade 3 and final year. And sir, they see the focus is to study, but their passion is so high and they are so focused that they don't hesitate getting even company incorporated, right? So here these students need access to mentors who can actually guide them, help them complete their grades, and also help them keep running their company. So from institute perspective, I think one opening up access to their own alumni base, building network with association, right? So in many cases, sir, I get requests from students to mentor them, right? Sometimes it becomes difficult for me being in Mumbai to mentor somebody who's 500 kilometer away from us, right? But
Right.
if you look at if you look at institutes, if they can build up network and they can have access to their alumni base, I think they can very well connect who's close to that student, who's from that industry. So from institute perspective, sir, one access to infrastructure, for example, these are all top of my mind thoughts which are coming in many cases. Students want to work on technical products. They don't have access to machineries, they don't have access to laboratories. I think some of the institutes, when I'm talking from engineering side, I think they can provide access to their infrastructure. Most of the IITs, right, they provide access to professors and lab through their infrastructure, and that actually help building up very innovative products, right? So access to
Right.
mentors, access to entrepreneurs, access to facilities, and if there is an incubation involved, I think there are a lot of grants available, which if institutes are keen, I think they can explore, right? So both state level and central level. So that way, I think institutes can certainly, help, students, take that, one step toward entrepreneurship. And of course, sir, one semester they can include few, chapters or few lessons on entrepreneurship. So these are my thoughts. Of course,
Thank you.
there would be many better ways to do this, but I think these are few initial thoughts which every institute can follow.
Wonderful, Anilji. I think these are good mantras and practical mantras to take on to the ground level and start cultivating. By the way, I didn't know that you graduated from BVM. It's one of our portfolio institute of promoting entrepreneurship. So they are
Wow.
also the Grantee Institute of Student Startup and Innovation Policy, and they're a good
Wow.
institute in Vidyanagar. And
Wow.
they also are doing a very systematic efforts putting together. And as BVM, we have 200 other grantee institutions and universities in the state of Gujarat who are engaged in supporting the student entrepreneurship activities in the campus. And as you rightly mentioned, that in Gujarat, uh, we have more than 100 enterprises coming out from colleges before they get their convocation hat. So that's a new syndrome that has happened in last couple of years, and this is a very encouraging one. And to make that spirit forward, we are the only state who have introduced gold medals for startups who are
Wow.
entrepreneurs from the graduating batch. So last year Honorable Home Minister Amit Shahji also gave award the medals of Gujarat
Wow.
Technological University. And so some that way, with support from Nagarajan sir and Principal Secretary and Honorable Minister of Education, who is driving this entire movement with deep passion and support, the movement has gone to next stage. I will pick up few questions for you, Anilji.
Sure.
Anilji, as an investor, from the I will ask you a question from the entrepreneur's perspective and
Sure.
then from your perspective. So
Sure.
you have been investing significantly and also for a long time. So what are the broad contours of your investment thesis? What is that you preferably look for because you are in homegrown fund? So what is
Sure.
your investment thesis?
So, Hiranmay, it's very, interesting question, and most of the time, people get confused what to, look for, right? What best foot they should put forward while they are raising, investment, right? So, if I give an example, before I share what we look for, so simple example, when I'm looking to invest in stock market, right, listed entity, I have access to their past performance, right? It's very easy for me as an investor to evaluate the performance of the company, through their balance sheet. I also can pick up phone and talk to CFO or even promoter of the business, and then I can make a decision to invest in those companies, right? But when we are doing investment in startup, there is very limited information available on performance of the company. In some cases the product is also not ready. In some cases product is slightly ready, but it has not been tested in market, or there are a couple of customer here and there, right? So it's very difficult to evaluate the performance of the company and potential of the company, more so because the entrepreneur is actually working on futuristic products, so there are no reference point also, right? In this situation, we as a fund manager, especially I'll talk about myself. I personally lay a lot of emphasis on quality of team, right? When I say quality of team, more on quality of founders, right? Founders or promoters, who have converted their idea either into a bouquet of service or a product which they are going to offer to potential customers, right? So for me it's very important, the composition of founding team, right? What complementary skill sets they bring on table, right? For example, let's say one of the founder is very good in coding, so he will start building. He could be the software guy who can still who can build the product. There could be another founder who comes from commercial background, so he can take up the finance function. There could be another a person who come from business background, so he can help building the business plan, and somebody from marketing side. So what kind of complementary skill sets they bring on table. Second thing, would like to evaluate, like what kind of experience or background founders have, right? What kind of institute they come from, what kind of graduation they have done, have they worked in some similar situation or industry, and then also their ability to build a team, right? Because in most of the cases we will come across an opportunity where they would have few people in team, right? A team of 10, 8, 9, 10, 12 people, right? So that also give us some hands-on experience that yes, founders are capable not only bringing complementary skill sets, but they're also capable of building team, right? So this is one factor which we lay a lot of importance. After that, we the second point what we consider is what problem they are solving, right? Whether the problem is a local problem or the problem is universal problem. So just picking up from the example I gave you about manhole cleaning, this company Gen Robotic, right? So they were building a product for automizing scavenging for manholes, right? That manhole is spread across India, right? Every state, every city, every town, every village have a manhole which need to be cleaned. But if you go beyond India, every other country have a manhole, right? How do you have your sewage system laid out without manhole? So this it's actually global problem, right? So you come up with a solution which actually can be replicated not only in your town, in your city, but also across nation, right? So we look for the kind of problem, whether it is universal or not, the kind of solution which is built, whether entrepreneur has some IP or not, or whether there is some proprietary nature to it or not. So basically, we want to see what kind of defense mechanism they have to their solution, right? So in I just share one example. We invested in a company which was in intercity cab, right? So let's say if I have to travel to Ahmedabad from Mumbai, can I have a shared cab, right, which can pick me up from my home like Ola Uber does, and drop me to, let's say, some place in Ahmedabad, right? And I pay only one way, that also shared, right? They started with that, we're doing very well, but that business became unviable when likes of Uber and Ola came in that segment, right? So if you invest in a venture which have very low defensibility, the success of those ventures always become a challenge, right? Then we want to see how big is the market, right? Can it be scaled or not? And so there are several other things, but in interest of time, one last thing which we would see, whether the business has potential to give us return or not, right? So these are 4 5 parameters which we evaluate in any business before looking for invest, before writing a check to that company.
Wonderful, sir. I think this is very, very clear that our entrepreneurs need to look for a complementary team. They should put the unit economics in place. It should at least have a possibility to return the money, because if they are taking money from you, so that those are, I think, real tools or matrices that entrepreneurs need to look for.
Sure.
Sir, if a startup is starting today and you want to raise resources within a year or 1.5 year, as you mentioned, these are the things that they need to take care of.
Hmm.
Which are few early mistakes that they should avoid if they are looking to raise private capital from investors?
See, let me give some top 5 things which come to my mind, right? I think one, I'll not say mistakes, but I think things which can be avoided. For example, if you want to raise money, see that you are already a private limited company, right? I was approached by a team which was started by an individual proprietor, right? Nobody is going to invest in proprietor, because if the moment I invest in proprietorship, it will become a partnership company, right? I even cannot invest in LLP, because I don't want to be your partner in your business. I want to be investor in your business, right? So avoid approaching investors without having proper structure, right? That's one thing. Second, when you are approaching investor, just see that you have a consistent growth metrics, right? Basically, you should be in position to demonstrate the stickiness of your product and services, right? That it's growing on month, right? Unless until you have achieved that, you should not look for growth capital. You rather should look for seed capital, which helps you build your product and services. But if you're looking for growth capital, please work on your performance metrics. Third thing I would like to see, don't ignore your competition, right? In most of the businesses, here and my I have heard that, sir, we don't have any competition, right? In that situation, it becomes difficult, because if you don't, if you're not aware about your own competition, then the defensibility to your business is always a question mark, right? For example, I'm in business of tea, and I'll say that coffee is not my competition, right? I think that's wrong. Even cold drinks becomes my competition, right? Any beverage which can help replace tea is my competition, right? I need not have to be only thinking about tea, but any beverage which potentially can replace tea is my competition, right? That's one. Fourth, not having proper team built is also is an issue, right? If you're not able to build team, I think it will be not advisable to approach for investment, right? And managing your cash flow, right? Having good review about your products and services. I think these are the points which one should take care before approaching investor. And one last thing which I have already told, approach investor who's investing in your segment. Don't approach investors who's not investing in your segment.
Wonderful. I think that's very important, because then only the investor invest if it could happen in an optimal way. Anilji, in the recent past, we see many startups who started a decade before. Their first few founders or the first set of employees have now come out and doing very amazing enterprises. And probably that's an exciting thing to look at in our ecosystem, that the people who contributed in the early stage of entrepreneurship journey are now coming back and trying to give way to that. And some people also predict that if that continues, maybe in next 5 to 6 years, we'll have more than 200 unicorn startups in India. We have more than 30 now. So, what is your observation globally? I think this is a common scenario when successful entrepreneurs come back and do again, or the first set of employees of those enterprises come again and do well. So, what is your observation globally, and how India is learning that, or how India is picking that?
So, here in my, it's very common, what we call about serial entrepreneurs, right? Where a successful entrepreneur, would tend to start second company. For example, Mukesh Bansal has started, right? For example, Jitendra Gupta has started, right? His second venture after PayU. Now, he's Jupiter, or Mukesh Bansal from Mintra to now is, that healthcare venture. Or free charge founder, right, Kunal Shah has started his second venture, right? So we are seeing that trend happening in India. If you look at the entrepreneurship, real entrepreneurship or startup, thing started in India somewhere in mid 2000, right? So 2005, 6, 7, those were the days when we were seeing, handful of businesses coming us to for funding, and which now have gone, many-fold, right? So we are just 15-year-old industry, if I can take liberty to say that. I'm not discounting the past entrepreneurial action, but I'm just saying, considering India's current situation, the major action started in mid 2000. And if you look at, any startup takes anywhere from 7 to 15 years to mature, right? So for example, if I have started business, I will take at least 7 years to give meaningful exit. I'm not talking about people who change idea, or who couldn't succeed in their first idea. They naturally will go for second, third, fourth, right? But I'm talking for people who have meaningful contribution, and where they have provided exit to their investors, if they had, or they themselves have have liquidated profitably, or handsomely. In that sense, it's cycle of 7 to 15 years. So if you look at India, actually have now started seeing those all repeat entrepreneurs, right? So I'm pretty confident in next 10 years, probably we'll have many more, this second or third time entrepreneurs. And I think in next 10 years we might be, if we are able to speak after 10 years, I think the this 30 number probably maybe close to 150 or maybe 200. I'm not sure. I'm pretty confident that this number will grow very fast, right? The first unicorn, of course, if I discount InMobi, which happened in 3 4 years time, the first unicorn took I think 7 years or 8 years to build. But if you see the trajectory of Oyo or Beju, that actually has happened in first 3 years time, right? So India is changing. I think we are coming up with more innovative products and services. I think going forward, the future will be very bright for startups. Very bright.
Wonderful, sir. This is very optimistic, and it will certainly inspire all our early stage companies in Gujarat. Just to inform you, Gujarat have around 2,000 registered startups in
Wow.
Ministry of Commerce, and around couple of hundred of them are student entrepreneurs. We consider student entrepreneur definition any running student in any of the degrees in any of the college in Gujarat, or having ventured out by any 5 year alumni of those colleges. So this is a significant change that we see happening in Gujarat. Sir, you have been not only part, but you drove the entire angel investment game very early in Mumbai and Bangalore. You looked at their operation strategy and made that investment network a thriving, aspiring network. So we many often think that Gujarat also has a high pool of high net worth individuals, a significant number of people are there. The liquidity or resource is not an issue. But I think somehow that culture of investing in technology startups or looking them are as alternate traces on that front, that how Gujarat should also look for creating aggressive angel ecosystem, and what are their advices? How do we take step ABC towards that?
So, Hiranmay, see, I think it's very important, to address, this one issue because when we talk about angel investment, it's a very local phenomena, right? So, for example, if this local angel groups are not available, the potential investor from let's say for example Ahmedabad, if he has resources to invest, he will certainly look out for avenues. If not available locally, then he will become member of one of the established angel group, either Mumbai Angel or Indian Angels or Venture Capitalist or somebody else, or he will explore online platform, right? Like Lead Angels or Angel List, right? These are the avenues for him to explore. But for local ecosystem to develop, I think people locally have to come up and start a network which actually can go and invest. For example, I'm sure there may be, you yourself said there are 2000 startups in state of Gujarat, right? If there are no local angel investors, active angel investors, then they will certainly move out of state, right? So it becomes very important to build a ecosystem and a platform where entrepreneurs is inclined to stay back, and at the same time investor who doesn't have avenues get opportunity to invest. So to my suggestion, I think some of the successful business houses, maybe from Ahmedabad or a city, should come forward and they should take lead in building this ecosystem. Without that, it's not possible. Let me give you two very simple example. Mumbai Angels, right, which I was involved since inception, could happen because Shasha Mirchandani, from Onida family, or Prashant Choksi from Asian Paint family, they came together and they actually seeded and funded and provided all necessary resources for me to build this network. See, I was at the end of the professional who helped building it, right? But it was somebody who came forward. Similarly, Indian Angel, if you look at it is Saurabh Srivastav and others, Raman Roy or Padmaja, who's currently running, came and they standed behind this initiative, right? Shasha, Prashant, or Saurabh, or Padmaja, or Raman Roy, or any XYG who are involved, they are still involved, right? So you need to have some known figure who is willing to come forward and help building it, right? So if you say Anil, can you come and help setting it up? Yes, I'll be more than happy to share my know-how and help build it. But somebody local have to take that plunge. Otherwise, Hiranmay, somebody else from outside will come, as you rightly said in your talk before, right? And will build up and take it away, right? So for local angel investment to get started, somebody from local have to take initiative to build it, and then
Wonderful. I think
slowly then you will start expanding, right?
because the local people also understand the context, because there are many entrepreneurs who can jail well, and they are, as you
But
mentioned about Samich.
but I have here one suggestion, which as a office bearer of iHub, or even Natarajan sir could help. See, there is a risk involved in this asset class, right? And most of the investors shy away from from angel investment because they don't understand nuances of angel investing, right? So for example, during my days now, things dynamics have changed, and I'm sure it will keep changing. But if you take as a thumb rule, out of 10 investments, there is quite possibility that 5 investments will fail, right? The failure rate is very high, but at the same time the success rates could be manifold. So the ventures which are successful, for example in our fund, we have one outlier, right? That one company itself have a potential to pay three times of our fund, right? So if you have those kind of investments, and if you're able to cover for your losses, then I think investors will have confidence. And for that, I think institutes like yours can play a very important role in giving that education, and then people can come forward. Of course there would be initial learnings, there would be some losses, but over a period of time people will make money, right?
Wonderful, sir. Sir, the audience would little bit like to know about how many investment you do in a year, what are the kind of startup you prefer, is it take or non-take, or what is the process that you follow?
So we, go with our fund philosophy. So for example, in current fund, we want to build a portfolio of 20 companies, right? Fund is a 7-year-old fund, and we would be investing in first 4 years. So technically, I think we will be investing in 6 or 7 businesses every year, right? And fund is very much, tech focused. We look at investing businesses which are leveraging technology.
So when you talk about investing about say five, six startups in a year, so do you co-invest with startup follow-up rounds?
Yes, sir. We do co-invest with startups. We have invested, angel investors have co-invested with us. We also have one investment, where we have Gujarat, Venture Finance, GVFL as our co-investor. We have
Oh,
also
wonderful.
we have also co-invested with bigger funds. So we are pretty much open to co-invest with others. For example, sir, this I'm sharing in cold, very close confidence. We are investing in one Ahmedabad based company where we have couple of angel investors investing along with us,
Yeah.
right? We still have not made it public, otherwise I would have loved to share the name. But very soon you will hear that our fund would make our first investment in state of Gujarat.
Wonderful. I think you are more than welcome in Gujarat. And because of this Muhurat investment, we hope that there will be more such investments by the likes of you. One of the challenges I have also seen is that everyone knows about the word angel investing, but the nitty gritties of it, how to go about it, and how to turn the traditional investors who have been investing on the guidance of some chartered accountants and their general money managers, into a traditional businesses, how to bring them on board to this angel thing. That is also one of the next target we are having when we are looking at ecosystem development across the value chain. So do you also do follow-up rounds, and how much do you reserve for follow-up and all that?
It's a very interesting, right? And very important question for fund like us and even for entrepreneurs to know. So we keep 20% of our fund to make investment in to build a portfolio, right? The balance 80% of money we reserve for follow-on investments, sir, right? So for example, as I told you, we invest anywhere around half a million to 2 million in company to start with. We can go up to $6 to $8 million in those company as follow-on rounds, right? So that's how the fund is structured.
Wonderful.
Mm.
Sir, one question. This is again from a startup. Uh, how easy it is to raise resources from Indian funds? Because many often they believe that the funds which are outside, they're a little bit spray and pray kind of thing. We're a little conservative. Is it a myth, or is there a differentiation?
So here and my see the ecosystem is quite nascent in my view, right? It's just 15-year-old, right? The first, no, the official domestic fund, which I may be wrong, but in my view, Bloom Venture was the first one to get started, right? All domestic money raised from local investors and invested. That started in 2010, 11, right? When I joined Mumbai Angels, that's the time it started. And now we are in 2020, right? Just 10 years, right? And if you talk about angel investment, which started in 2005, so just 15 years, right? So we just 1 decade old kind of industry, right? It takes at least one and a half decade time to have some meaningful audience, right? Population in industry. But if you look at the glad to share that today we have so many homegrown VCs who have been investing quite actively, right? And the good part is that we have lot many micro VCs who write smaller checks. So if you ask about startups, I think one of the best time they are going through, right? There are so many investment avenues I don't know whether foreign funds follow spray and pray, but certainly they are quite aggressive compared to us because they understand the nuances of risk involved with this. The moment we will understand, even we would start investing, right? So fairly decent amount available even through domestic investors.
And I think it's
Wonderful.
only going to increase, right?
Yeah, yeah, sir, very much. It's actually going to increase while we are talking. I think even state governments and central governments are taking initiative to increase the corpus, local corpus, right?
Yes.
I'm waiting for sir local, family, businesses and corporates, coming actively to participate in funds, right? Once that starts happening, I think we will have much larger corpus available to invest, in domestic, homegrown, technology companies than always, waiting for foreign money to invest.
Yes, yes. I think you should also collaborate with us on building that, cohort of
Sure,
investors.
sir. Sure, sir. I'm already doing with couple of states. I would be more than happy to, if I can contribute, doing that
Yes,
in Ahmedabad or Gujarat.
wonderful.
Wonderful, because
Wonderful.
that will create more avenues for entrepreneurs. Anilji, as you mentioned, you get around 8-10 pitches his decks every day and to look
Yeah.
at or something. And so
Yeah, yeah.
then and I
More than 10,
sorry,
but
more
more
than
than
more
10.
than 10.
But as a 10 sounds, good number. I always say 10 pitches.
10 pitches. So today only, before this conversation happened, we used to evaluate around 17, 18 startups. And one complaint that I get from the juries who evaluates is the startups fail to communicate what they are actually doing and what they can lead at. And sometimes this communication problem in a very short span in short slides, what exactly they are doing, they want to go beyond a real challenge. Have you across come across this phenomenon or no?
Oh, I come across this on daily basis. So see, see, Hiranbhai, we are talking to first generation entrepreneur, right? Just 10 minutes back, you were talking to me about serial entrepreneurs or second time entrepreneur, right? Successful entrepreneur. If you talk to them, they will raise money even without preparing their pitch deck. But the first time entrepreneur who is raising money, who doesn't have basic knowledge, right? He builds what he hear or what he learns. So this happens. I think once they start doing it, they gain experience and they keep refining, right? So this happens. But I'll tell you the good part, Hiranmay, that today India we have so many avenues to seek help at this stage, that it's not a worrisome problem, right? It's not something which we have to worry about, because there's so many avenues for entrepreneurs to go learn and build a very uh, you know best pitch and get prepared to pitch it. Only problem is that they hesitate finding and going there, right? For example, when you're saying 2000 startups, I think you must have picked up from official number. But if not, there may be many more startups which probably may not have come to your radar, right? So I think founder have to or promoter have to take that first step to reach out to people where they can seek help, right? But this is a very common problem, very common problem.
It's really interesting. And one thing, as you already told, out of these 2000, hardly 500 come from the so-called formal incubation systems. And many often we give a second thought to our strategy as a policy and driver also, that whether the so-called structural method of pushing entrepreneurship is the right way to go, or even there are entrepreneurs who are silent workers in garages. They can also outshine. They can also deliver better. What is your experience? How important has been this formal structure of incubation acceleration has been
So it's catching up. uh, I think we have too many incubators. Some are actually doing very good job, and some are actually learning the trade secret. So we are in evaluation stage, if you ask me, because any incubator, will be known for its ability to nurture, that one, or two startup which actually can become big, right? Once that's happened, then you start building name for yourself, right? We have Y Combinator in US. Similarly, we have a couple of them which have started in India. I think these are early days. We are evolving, and and actually it takes, it's a pain building process, if you ask me, right? It takes a lot of, energy, and it take a lot of efforts to build it. But one good thing I would tell you is that country is fairly spread across, because earlier, I would have never expected, that there is an incubator in Patna, or there is, incubator in Pathankot, or there is an incubator, in Sikkim, right? I think country have done wonderful job in spreading this, access to incubator. The quality, I think it will. We are all learning, right? When we started, we were first time fund manager, right? I had my own challenges, when we raise money. Now we are in our third fund. We have gained, those many years experience. So we are evolving, if you ask me. I think long way to go.
Wonderful. Very, very positive note that you are putting before us. Sir, one last question from the audience, because you have been a veteran in this ecosystem for a few decades. And you rightly mentioned in the earlier question that probably it was early 2000 when the tech ecosystem started booming. And it's barely 20 years now. Which are three, four highlighting points that you believe are key cornerstone of the Indian startup ecosystem? So my question was, you mentioned categorically that we can consider that maybe the tech ecosystem started mushrooming in India in 2000. And now we are 20 years down to the line of the first cycle of experiment of ecosystem building. Which are four, five phenomenon or or events or outcome that you saw in this ecosystem which are noteworthy in these 20 years of ecosystem building from your point of view?
So, see, on lighter note, me accidentally getting, involved in this is turning point for me. But let me give you, three or four checkpoints which have certainly helped. I think one was, mid of 2000, when both this angel group started, right? Mumbai Angel and India Angel. That was the first time when, somebody came forward and believed in this ecosystem. And today, we actually, speak and talk about angel investment. So that is one, for ecosystem. Uh, Second, I think when SEBI came up with, revised guidelines for starting off, AIF, right? The first fund which came in 2011, right, domestically, and the reforms which they have brought in actually helped, people like us to take, plunge and start fund, right? That's second, right? Domestic funds, which is very important for any ecosystem to build. Third, which I would, give, all credit to our Prime Minister for taking initiative to, make it, common household name, Startup India, Stand Up India, right? It wouldn't have happened, uh, you know, uh, without that, right? And fourth, I would say that, again, Prime Minister, coming forward and, building a corpus of 10,000 crore, to build, fund of fund, institutes, and help fund like us, to get started, and then in turn, invest in startups. I think these are the few, turning point. And the one which actually have, given a flip, to our ecosystem is, a life cycle of Flipkart, right? Where Flipkart got built, got sold to Walmart. That actually have given confidence to all investors, not only in India but also outside India, that yes, the startups can, get built in India, that can get, acquired, and that can, get, further built, for growth. I think these are the turning points which will always will be remembered, in building up of this ecosystem.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you. These are important milestones, as you rightly mentioned. Two of them are policy, two of them are leadership, and two of them are, you can say, persistence of entrepreneurs like Flipkart who made it possible. So I think all these are very phenomenal things. And 20 years has been exciting. And I think Silicon Valley also took equal amount of time from 1970s to get to this stage.
True.
So I think we are going as fast as possible, doing more diverse. So it's a very interesting phenomenon. So I think it was a wonderful conversation, Anil Joshi, to have you today and pick some of the ideas and having the conversation from horse's mouth. Because if somebody asked me what was the back behind angel investment, I said go to him, ask Anilji, he will tell you how it happened in India. Because sometimes From book, it is easy to look at, but then the people who made it happen first time in Indian context, given the kind of red tape we have, the kind of mindset sometimes we have, this become very challenging. And I think all these insights are really wonderful to have you. And Nagarjun sir, thank you so much for elaborating the context. And as Anilji told in the beginning of the conversation, so we hardly get a bureaucrat available every afternoon for an hour. And by the way, Anilji, we are doing this session every day, 4 to 5 p.m., right from the first day of lockdown. So every
Hats
day,
off to you, sir. Hats off to you, sir. I really appreciate. I think nothing can stop, making Gujarat vibrant if you have this kind of vibrancy, right?
so
As I told, if somebody, take, that one step and help building it, and stand by it, nothing can stop, things, getting fit. So really appreciable, sir. Glad,
Thank you.
I'm able to
thank you,
part of
Nagarjun sir, for being with us. And Anilji, this conversation was just a beginning. We love to co-create with you. We love to take your guidance. We love to take your input because we in the state government also thinking of how to create a friendly ecosystem at the top of the incubation and acceleration ecosystem. And veterans like you would really guide how this process should work. Obviously, we need to contextualize in the context of Gujarat. As you mentioned, it is quite geographic and cultural, but certainly your guidance will be of immense value. And we'll come back to you again and again, and we'll try to learn from you and take this ecosystem forward.
Happy to do, Hiranmay. I'm still learning. I'm happy to share what I'm learning. I should, admit that I'm nobody in angel investment. I just picked up and was lucky to accidentally get exposed to it. However, happy to share what I have learned. Right? It has evolved a lot since I got in it, and I should appreciate work what you are doing, especially Rajan sir. It's not easy to spend 1 hour, right? I really appreciate and happy to contribute. Thanks for having me. Enjoyed my talk. Wish we had more time, but I think we have already overshot. So appreciate you giving me this opportunity to interact with lovely audience. Look forward to do it in person sometime soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Anilji. Thank you, Nagarjun sir.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you.